Hi, welcome to our module on mergers. As this is a rich topic, our agenda will span several discrete video presentations, just as it did for the videos on relevant markets. First, I want to put things in perspective regarding this topic and reiterate my methodology on how I present these videos. We will then jump into mergers, going over the various types that competition law deals with. After that, we will focus on horizontal mergers, that is, those between competitors. These are probably the most problematic. Competition authorities focus the most on them. Then we will focus on the substantive standards for merger review. Note that we will not be talking in detail about the procedures for reviewing mergers. In addition to the standards for allowing mergers, the PCA contains two defenses that could save a merger that would otherwise be blocked. We will look at those as well. This will lead us into a discussion of remedies and outcomes. We will find that merger approval is not a binary inquiry. A good portion of any merger approval process is bargaining and discussion over various arrangements that could be used to reduce any ill effects of the transaction. We will discuss how that process works and the types of outcomes that often result. Finally, we will finish with a brief discussion of vertical and conglomerate mergers, two areas where there is less potential for competitive harm, or at least in theory. Just a quick note on how I am sequencing this and how it might affect this module. Normally, a discussion of mergers comes after a discussion on the substantive violations of competition law, such as abuse of a dominant position and collusion. For various reasons, I am front-loading the merger discussion. As a result, I may have to talk a bit more about some background matters that we would have otherwise discussed in other classes. The bottom line is that this module might be a bit longer than otherwise, but the other modules in the future might be shorter. Finally, it's worth repeating that these videos are not a replay of what's in the readings. Rather, I use these videos to get you to apply the principles you read about in your texts. So please, do your reading before watching any more. Just so we are all on the same page, I wanted to confirm what we understand a merger to be. The definitions in the PCA are wordy but adequate. They include both traditional mergers and asset purchases. The scheme here attempts to represent different types of mergers in relation to possible relevant markets and the stages in a supply chain for coffee. It discusses 5 types of mergers, 3 of which you probably know about already. The market and product extension mergers mentioned here follow a scheme embraced by a U.S. government agency. I don't claim it's the absolute Bible on this sort of thing, but it's useful for our purposes. There are pure conglomerate mergers and mixed ones. A pure conglomerate merger is one where the two firms have nothing in common. Mixed conglomerate mergers are those where a firm branches off to a market similar, but not the same as, the one it currently operates in. This is a slightly more nuanced definition than the one in Slaughter and May, which characterize conglomerate mergers as those between firms operating in different product markets. Coming back to our chart, here are a few quick questions on the mergers contemplated here. It's not hard to imagine the benefits of the various transactions in the coffee sector described here. Company 2 wishes to gain more control over its supply chain. Companies 6 and 7, after merging, might be able to do the combined job with fewer than the current combined assets, leading to efficiencies and cost savings. Company 8 might wish to branch out into a neighboring drink market, and Company 4 might want to expand its geographic footprint by buying an existing set of cafes rather than building them from scratch. Perhaps the only one whose rationale is not apparent is Ayala's purchase of a coffee plantation. Maybe it wants to get the land reclassified and build a housing development. Maybe it wants to start a whole new chain to take on Starbucks. The motives of conglomerates are very difficult to figure out.